Wholesale real estate is despicable. That's how one real estate broker in the state of Indiana described wholesaling real estate. Indiana joins a list of states that are requiring some sort of licensing to wholesale real estate or disclosure in order to assign contracts. And as you can tell, the wholesale real estate industry is definitely changing. The landscape is moving around. More and more states and cities are now requiring some sort of licensing or disclosure or some sort of law, making it a little bit more difficult to wholesale real estate as before. Now, I do agree with some of the things that are getting passed, but there are some things I do disagree with. And one of them is that I notice a lot of this push for more laws in this industry is coming from realtors. And why is it coming from realtors? It's because they see wholesalers as a threat, and realtors have a lot of power in the government, usually in a particular city or state. And so they can really push different laws to be passed in Congress or in that state's government. And so, yes, there are some good things that are getting passed, and there are some things I agree with, but the way to describe wholesalers, they make it seem like all wholesalers are bad, all of them are corrupt, and there's nothing wrong with realtors or real estate agents, even though they were charged with different things. You hear these big news happening with the NAR and the commission and letting that be negotiable and making that known to the buyers and sellers that they're dealing with. If there are some bad apples with wholesaling real estate, and I do agree there are some, but they're just as much in real estate agency as it is with wholesale real estate. So today we're going to talk about Indiana and how they recently passed the law to requiring more regulations and laws around wholesale real estate. And I'm going to just break down this article, share my screen with you, and describe what this broker is talking about in this article. Past legislation aims to curb despicable wholesaling real estate practice. Here's our guy, Ed Clear. So Southern Indiana. So this is where we're at. And by the way, you all, like this video, subscribe below if you have any questions. Let me know your thoughts on the changing landscape of this industry. So a piece of recently passed Indiana legislation is aiming to eliminate the practice of real estate wholesaling and protect consumers. So they're looking to eliminate the practice of wholesale real estate, according to this article. Not just pass laws requiring a wholesaler to have a license or have a broker represent them or some sort of disclosure, but it seems like this article is really pushing that people are wanting to make it illegal. Now, this is the House Bill 1068, was signed by this government March 11th, and it was passed by both the House and the Senate. And once again, as you saw with my Iowa video, you see that both parties are coming together to pass laws, right? This is not a type of law that Democrats are going to be like, no, I'm not going to say yes to this because Republicans are saying yes to this. No, they don't care because they both see this as good for their parties, right? And so both of them are coming together, and this is how happening in the House and the Senate. So the rep, Mr. Ed, Republican, New Albany, he wrote the legislation and has been a real estate broker for the past 20 years. So not only is he in the government, he's in the political system, he's also a real estate broker. And once again, you have this, I don't really have strong views about people who work for the government shouldn't be doing anything or investing anywhere else. I don't have opinions on that, but I think it's just telling, like, this person has so much power to do something like this, right? Because he's in the government and he's a business owner, right? And of course, he can use his role in the government to help his business out. And so that's where conflict of interest comes in and things of that nature. But he said there are two parts to the legislation, but both sections have the goal of consumer protection. Now, that's good. I do believe there should be more regulation and some more structure around wholesaling real estate. I do believe that. Claire said he introduced similar legislation last year where it passed the House but not the Senate. So this time he has the Senate also. So the first part addresses real estate wholesaling and action. We know what wholesaling is. So this is what he says. He says, They think they're selling the house to a wholesaler, but they're getting permission to go out and market the property to others. And that's essentially what wholesaling is. And throughout my videos, like on my channel, I try to push like, hey, be as honest to the seller as possible. Let them know that you're not the ones buying your property, but you have partners or you have other investors who buy the property, who brings in their funds to buy the property. But sometimes, yes, as you market it, you're essentially saying, I'm buying the property, because maybe you're partnering with an investor and things of that nature. So it's a despicable practice, he says. So it will require disclosure of the name of the unlicensed solicitor that is shopping around a property to potential buyers. Okay, require the name. Okay, that makes sense. I think you always disclose your name. And then the second part, require buyer agency agreements to be made in writing. All right. There are already laws in place where listing agreements have to be in writing. Buyer agency agreement. Maybe this is some sort of different type of agreement, but usually your contract, it counts. Well, yes, when you're working with a realtor, you have your purchase and sales agreement, right? And you have this agency agreement that you're working with this person. And so I guess this is what they're saying. Like, on top of the contract, you have to have this buyer agency agreement. Bill Burns, a broker of Remax in Jeffersonville, said less than a month ago, homeowner was trying to list their house with them. Apparently, when they returned a few days later, she said she signed papers. She said someone had come earlier in the day with paperwork of their own, which she signed, selling her home for a low price. So apparently this real estate broker was going to work with this client. A client ended up going with a wholesaler. Of course, it's going to make the agent, the broker, mad, because they're all like, yo, you stole my business. And they got it for a lower price. And that's unfortunate, because like I don't think it's right when wholesalers completely lowball buyers. I mean, when wholesalers completely lowball sellers, because if a seller, I mean, there is some responsibility on the seller. Like, obviously, if you're talking to a real estate agent and they say, hey, we can list it at this price and it will sell at this price, and then a wholesaler comes in and say, hey, I'm going to work on the property or whatever, I'm going to get it at this low price. I don't know if it's the best thing to go with, like, as a home seller. Like, why would you do that? But I don't know. But he said the buyer was out of Tennessee and they took them to court to get her out of the contract. Crazy. And I don't know if they shared the details, but this is the storyline here. So apparently, elderly women questioned the $35,000 offer. So it's a $35,000 property, and apparently it was worth at least $89,000. Oh, the wholesaler listed the home for $89,000. That's a crazy spread for, wholesale deals, you're making 10, 15, 20 here, but this spread, some wholesalers are making bank. I never made this much on a wholesale deal. So, like, all my deals to me have been fair, right? And so to list it at $89,000, I feel like the wholesaler was definitely taking advantage. I mean, the wholesaler was definitely taking advantage of the seller, because $90,000, $35,000, that's almost a $60,000 spread. In Indiana, rural Indiana, I don't, California, I understand. New York, I understand. But a small town in Indiana, I'm not sure if that's the best. And I think it's different when a flipper does it than a wholesaler, because a wholesaler literally just puts it back on the market. Flipper, they put money into the property, right? They may put 50, 60,000. So they're actually using some of their money to improve the property, the neighborhood. And so I do understand the sentiment that the realtor may have. And like, I'm just thinking, like, people in my family, like, I wouldn't want them to go with the wholesaler in this situation. But in other situations, maybe if they offered them, at least like give her 65,000, 70,000, you sell it at 90, you're still making 20K. Even 60,000, you can make 30. But yeah, it was that to me that was sad. But anyways, I just don't like how realtors they paint the picture like this is how all wholesalers are. No, this is not how all wholesalers are. But yeah, but they took them to court, and the wholesalers tried to fight it. They had their lawyers saying, no, we're under contract, we can still buy this house. But I think they just let it go, the wholesalers. Now, Chris Watts, Vice President, Public Affairs, Indiana Association Realtor, said that wholesalers will sell a too good to be true story to the home buyer with cash offers and other taxes to get the person to sell their home below the market value. He said he felt at least some kind of disclaimer language legislation is needed that would advise homeowners of the type of agreement they might be signing on to. Clear said that the legislation doesn't outlaw wholesaling. So it doesn't outlaw wholesaling. So law there nowhere in America, no states, no city is outlawing wholesaling real estate. Some may require a license or some sort of disclosure, like this state. It does implement meaningful disclosure requirements to hold these wholesalers accountable. Okay, I agree with that. The legislation we passed should go a long way toward ending it. So his goal is definitely to end wholesaling real estate. So this realtor, he's trying to protect his business. He's being competitive. I think there's a way realtors can work with wholesalers, but this man wants to end it. They've been hearing more and more about wholesaling practice in the recent year. It has been popular, online and whatnot. You hear people talk about it more. Burns said data is now available and accessible for wholesalers to be able to find properties they like to wholesale due to the fact that it is lucrative. They can hire people to talk with homeowners so the actual buyer can evade responsibility. I don't like the way they stated that, because it's almost as if the end buyer is in it. I mean, the buyer, they're just an investor looking for deals. They're like, oh, wholesalers, they sell deals. They're not trying to be like, oh, I don't want to be attached to the seller. I want wholesalers to take responsibility of this. No, it's not anything like that. It's like their time is best spent actually working on the property, hiring their contractors, putting it back on the market, not marketing for deals. And so it's nothing about trying to evade a home and maybe some investors, but I don't think that's the sentiment of most flippers or landlords. So I don't like the way that's stated. Burns recommend that those looking to sell their home talk with a trusted licensed realtor and get a fair market rate analysis of the home. It's not about a realtor making money. It's about consumers getting the value they deserve out of their properties. I agree with that, but not the first part. Realtors are trying to make money. And yeah, I don't think you need to talk to a licensed realtor. You can do your own research. You can talk to family and friends. You can talk to people who just know real estate. But yeah, I that's the gist of the article. Let me know your thoughts on it. Okay, some things that I do agree with. I do agree with there needing to be more structure and maybe some disclosures on parts of the wholesalers to be more honest and upfront with sellers on what they're doing. And I think there needs to be some sort of giving them a fair price, because the thing with wholesaling is that you're trying to get it as low as you can so you can make the most amount of money. Realtors, they're trying to sell the house as high as they can. And so just in the business itself, it makes it seem like they're kind of looking out for for the seller, because they're trying to sell it as high as they can because they make more money. But wholesalers, they're trying to get as low as they can so they can make more money. It's super biased, this article, and these laws. I think they're being pushed by the NAR, big realtor groups. And you see this person is involved in the government and in his real estate business. And so, I don't know, I think there may be some conflict of interest in that aspect. But overall, this is the state of the industry. I think we're moving more and more into requiring more legislation around wholesaling real estate. What are you going to do differently in your business? Let me know down below. Let me know your thoughts on this article. And yeah, I'm just, reading the article. I'm not trying to show no hate or anything towards anybody or any group of people. I'm just stating, hey, this is what's happening in this industry. These are my thoughts. So make sure you all like this video, subscribe, and I'll talk to you all later.